Hi, I'm SJ, welcome back to my channel. My third baby, Evelina, is now 11 weeks old and she's already reliably sleeping from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. every single night. It's amazing, it's great. I do know that this will probably go backwards at some point, but for now we've put some really good strategies in place that have allowed her to do that. She does obviously wait for feeds in between, and that kind of goes depending on if she's having a growth spurt, how many of those. But these are my top tips and my guide, all the stuff that I bought that's amazing, and the routine that I've used to get her doing the 7 till 7 sleep. So I hope you enjoy this. If it's helpful, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more newborn videos. So Evelina sleeps in a side-by-side cot. So a side-by-side cot is exactly that. It just attaches right to your bed. So I'm sleeping here and she is sleeping right next to me. The side of her cot actually lifts up and comes down flat, so I can be totally next to her, which is really, really nice because it's pretty much like co-sleeping, but it's very safe because they do have their own environment. Whether you're breastfeeding or bottle feeding, you can just shovel them across, give them their feed. I'm breastfeeding, and then the idea is you can kind of just roll them back, and it's a very, very nice way to sleep. I really wanted one of these with my first baby, but they were just felt really expensive. So this one is the NCT bed nest, because side-by-side cots are quite pricey and they're only going to be in them for like the first 6 months until you move them into their own bed, and they're quite tiny. So the NCT in the UK rents these out to parents, which brings it to around £85–90, which I think is so good when you're considering you're only going to use it for a short amount of time. We had the same one with Finn. We loved it. It folds completely flat. So we definitely went for getting this again. It works for us really well because we can just package it up and send it back, and all of the mattresses and everything are brand new every single time. So in terms of space saving and cost saving, it's a really, really good option. I do also have the sleepyhead of Sweden. You've probably seen this in like every single Instagram post of vloggers, every single vlog. Everyone seems to have a sleepyhead of Sweden, so I was desperate to get one, especially because we're half Swedish. I thought this sounded brilliant, and I got the sleepyhead deluxe. It's pricey, so I was umming and ahhing about whether to get it, but it is incredible. 100% get this. She sleeps so well in it. It basically just provides them much comfier mattress than you would get in the little cot, and this real snuggly feeling, so they feel quite like encased and enclosed. Also, we've had this downstairs on the sofa for her to sleep in. We've gone away for the odd night and taken just this with us because you can pop it on the bed and she's in her own little cocoon. So they're 100% worth buying. The thing is, the covers are quite pricey. I've only got one cover. They're about £50 a cover. So you have to take it all off and wash it, so that is a bit of a pain. But a couple of nights when I was washing this, she definitely did not sleep as well, so I would really recommend to get one. When Evelina is sleeping, she wears a swaddle. So swaddling the baby basically means that they can't really move their arms and legs as much, so it's pretty similar to when they're in the womb and they're all curled up. And you can imagine when you come out and suddenly you've got these arms and legs flailing around with this feeling of space, it can freak the baby out a bit and they feel quite confused. And also they can use their hands, they can hit themselves, they can scratch their faces. So swaddling I've always done. This swaddle is the best one I've ever used. It's called a swaddle pod. I will link it below. It's got a zip, so it's absolutely brilliant, because some of the swaddles are kind of, you do this technique of wrapping it round. That's what I used to do with the boys, and they could get out of it quite, by this age, by 11 weeks they get out of it. She's been in it since birth. She's still in it and she's 11 weeks. I don't think it's getting too small for her just yet, but I will definitely be getting the next size up. It opens at both ends, so in the night, if you do need to do a night change, and I'll give you my tips on that in a minute, we do lots of those, you can just change her at the bottom. And definitely buy a couple of these because they do get dirty. Total lifesaver, really lovely. She absolutely loves it. She sleeps so well in her little swaddle. The Nirvana of baby sleep, as you've probably read about, is to put them down when they're tired but not fully asleep, so that they learn to self-soothe. So best way of doing this, I found, is to look for that very first sign. So it could be a yawn, it could be that they rub their eyes, it could be that they cry or just look kind of a bit unfocused with their eyes. So for Evelina, she used to sort of cry a lot, but she just also her eyes go very droopy, so it's quite an obvious sign. But I remember with Freddie, even when he was a tiny baby, he used to just rub his eyes. Some babies aren't that yawny, so as soon as she started to do that around 6:30 at night, then I brought her upstairs, put her swaddle on and everything, and told her we're going to go to bed now. And even though she's tiny, I do think talking to them really helps. close the curtains, it's bedtime now, sing her a little lullaby song, just to kind of get her into that there's something that happens every single night before it's that long sleep. She would start dozing off and be a bit sleepy, and then I would put her awake into the side-by-side cot and walk out. I found I had to be out of the room. If I sort of sat in the room on my phone or just being quiet, she snuffles and obviously doesn't settle right away, and it was really tempting to interrupt. And they do make noises, they're going off to sleep, and I don't know about you, but I don't hit the pillow and go right off. Obviously my husband does. So I put her down and then I walk out of the room, and then just to help her I did use a white noise app. So white noise apps are brilliant. You can buy an app, you can buy a white noise maker. To be honest, what I did was just put the iPad with a white noise sound on it. I can link below the one that I use, it's the same one I use for Finn. It just plays, it's like 8 hours of soothing white noise, and that just helps them as they're drifting off. I find it really, really brilliant. So after using the white noise app, I would kind of pop back in and check on her, and she just started to drift off by herself. It was brilliant. So it meant she was going to bed kind of drowsy but not fast asleep, with the kind of white noise there to just kind of help her and block out some of the noise that was going on with the boys' bedtime routine. And then I could kind of go downstairs, and of course we listened to her on a baby monitor. I'm not a kind of hour by hour type of routine person, but there is a routine that I love which is called the easy routine, and that helps you to get them self-soothing at bedtime. So easy stands for eat, activity, sleep, you time. So if you want that you time, try to follow this. It basically just means you're trying to separate eating and sleeping, and by doing that it means your baby doesn't always need you to go to sleep, because most babies fall asleep on the breast or on the bottle, and then when they wake up that isn't there anymore and they're kind of wondering where it is. Consider doing the feed so they're really nice and drowsy, then doing the nappy and the swaddling and everything like that, and then putting them into bed so they're going to bed full, drowsy, but not relying on the feed to send them off to sleep. And then what happens then is that if they do wake, which they will, it's natural to go through the sleep cycles, as we all know. They wake around every 25 to 45 minutes, I think, in a natural sleep cycle. You'll kind of come up, they'll come up, but they won't kind of cry out because they'll be used to, okay, I was in bed, there's nothing missing than I had when I went to sleep, and they'll find it much easier to go back into sleep without crying out for you. If you've got the baby into bed, you're going to need to think about that night shift, because unfortunately you're not going to be going to sleep all night, especially in the early days. So what I do is have a little basket just next to my bed with everything that I'm going to need during the night, so that I'm not having to get up and move around or have any panic. So I can do a separate vlog about what's in my little basket, because this does come around the house with me. Basically wipes, nappies, any gripe water if you're using that for winding them, a huge bottle of water next to you, and just make sure anything that you kind of are your essentials. For me it's like breast pads, because I'll be changing those in the night after a feed. Make sure that they're totally to hand. So babies also need changing at night. I kind of generally change just the pooey nappies, because the nappies are so good and so absorbent, but you might occasionally have a really heavy nappy for a newborn as well, and you want to change that wet nappy. That does kind of drift off and stop happening after a while, but yes, there's going to be night changing as well as feeds. So funny with my first baby, if he needed changing in the night, I would literally get up, go across the corridor to where his bedroom was set up with his changing area, and do all the change and then bring him back in. And of course that would just really wake him up, would really wake me up. We'd be both wide awake and have to get right back to sleep again. Second baby, I came up with a much simpler way of doing it. Just basically stayed in bed and at the bottom of my bed I keep a little towel, and if she does a poo in the night, just move her across, pull the towel up, lie her on so she's really snuggly and soft still, put at the bottom of the swaddle, change her there using my little basket with all my stuff in it, and then put her straight back in. And I can do it on a really low light. Sometimes I use my phone to just kind of light up the area a little bit more, but it just means that it's much less disruptive. She stays warm, she stays snuggly, I don't get so wide awake either. So just think about how you're going to deal with those night changes to make them as smooth and calm and seamless as possible. During the night feeds, they're going to be up any time from like between 3, 4, 2 hours. It really depends, and Evelina's just gone up and down with it. And as a third time mum, I've just kind of really relaxed about that and actually stopped looking at the clock, and that really helped me. So I wasn't kind of constantly aware of how many times I've been up, or I've been up every 2 hours. This kind of plays in your mind and makes you feel a bit worse, and I found not clock watching made the whole thing just much more relaxing for me. And then when I feed her, obviously I look at her, and I don't make any noise, I don't talk to her, I don't really make huge eye contact. I kind of keep my eyes closed a bit as well, because I'm trying to keep myself from waking up too much, because I find I get back into sleep a lot easier. And it also creates that contrast for her. So then when she wakes then at 7, I do the absolute opposite. She sort of has a bit of a feed, she's woken again, and I go, good morning Evelina, it's the morning now, you've been such a good girl, you slept all night. And I'm really greeted now with like a really big smile, so it's really cute. She's really happy, feels really chuffed with herself, and then I can take her swaddle off and I say, let's have a big stretch, because it's so cute when they come out of it, they're like, oh. And then it just creates that real contrast, so that by doing that, I think also she then knows when I don't do that, okay, mummy's not quite ready for me yet, it must not be the morning. So those are my top tips and methods and equipment that I use for Evelina sleeping through 7 till 7 now. I know that sleep regresses, and I'm not saying it's all sorted by any means. I would love to stretch out her feeds a little bit, but I'm not going to worry about that yet. I just really wanted her to be in this kind of a routine, mainly so that I had that little pocket of time between 7 and probably 8:30 when I go to bed, to just have a little bit of child-free moment, or put my older boys to bed and deal with them. So over the next few weeks, I think I'll start to introduce things like a regular bath time, maybe a story when she's a little bit older. But I hope you have found this useful. Please do let me know in the comments below any questions that you've got, or if you found this interesting and helpful. I really love to hear from you all, especially those of you who are expecting and have little ones as well, because we're all in this together. I'm going to be doing more vlogs about what I keep in my little basket that moves around the house with me, and other newborn tips. So do hit subscribe if you want to follow me on my little newborn days and as a mama free. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all very soon in my next video. Bye guys!